This video series, a celebration of online publishing, is brought to you by the AOP Digital Publishing Awards. We're going to be exploring the factors that have driven the resilience and the success of the online publishing sector over the past 18 months. So we came together in person and via Zoom to see how the individuals, the teams and the brands which make this industry so successful will continue to grow audiences and provide outstanding solutions for advertisers. The final video in the series talks about quality, trustworthy journalism, a great user experience, more creative approaches to brand content and brand partnerships. These are the hallmarks of quality for online publishers. But how are publishers ensuring that they deliver on all of these fronts?
With the launch of GB News and the surrounding brouhaha about advertising, together with the ongoing political polarisation that we've seen over the last several years, it seems that too many people who should know better are confusing the concept of quality journalism with that of journalism which only expresses their own opinion.
The most important ultimately is what quality means to your audience, to your readers or viewers, whatever it might be. And that really comes from an understanding of what role does our content play in their lives, whether that's personal lives or predominantly in our case in their working lives.
I agree with everything you've said there, Brian. I would also say for us it's very much how our content engages the audience. So understanding who your audience is, what they're interested in, and then how engaged are they with the articles and the stories that you produce. And also I think it's really important from our perspective as a news provider to have that curation and care and originality when we put the stories together.
I think quality, particularly from the eyes of a publisher, links to experience, especially for our users, people we're engaging with, thinking about the type of content we put out, what that quality looks like, what sort of quality, the users are getting from that, what's the overall experience.
An experience for a gaming consumer, to a tech consumer, to a gardening world consumer is going to be different, but it's all going to be based around the content. So I think that's probably about as level playing field as we're going to get, is are you delivering the right consumer experience that will then show you and demonstrate to you how good your content is.
When we think about ourselves as a publisher, content comes first. It's how the world perceives us in a way. And if the users are happy, that means they're seeing our content in a positive light, which I guess makes me happy as well.
In premium publishing, you have the trust of your audience. Otherwise, they wouldn't come back.
Well, they wouldn't subscribe.
No, and they wouldn't engage, or they wouldn't register when they're not, registration from a user means I trust you, and now post GDPR, I also trust you with my data. So you have to be very respectful to your audience to get them to come back. So that's where the trust comes in.
If you're giving them what they want, then you can use words like stickiness or registration numbers, but the facts are the facts. Consumers now, it's so easy to move, to change and consume on different platforms, different devices, that to keep those numbers constant and to grow those numbers, trust is implicit.
We've done quite a lot of predictive modelling, and we've got a quality read scoring system which we are testing at the moment in beta. And what that does is look at every single piece of journalism that we produce, and it puts it on a 9-point quadrant. And what we're trying to do is inform the editorial team as to what is really engaging with our user base and converting people from anonymous readers to registered to then subscription. From
a commercial perspective, data is absolutely the future of our business and where the investment is coming from to be able to make the commitment that we do to quality journalism.
I think the biggest asset that any media owner or publisher has is their consumers, or are their consumers, and the data they hold on those consumers. And what the independent are doing is extremely interesting, because what you're essentially saying is you're tailor-making a product for that consumer experience, which naturally means that your consumer is engaged more. Once you have a higher engaged consumer, you can then look at incremental revenue streams. But you can take the money that you earn and invest in continuing and perpetuating that data, and then look at other areas where you can automate the process. For example, you could decide to have your own self-serve SSP where you decide on who gets access to your monetized content. You might decide to work with particular tech partners who understand how you're using your data and then give you the ability to control how that data is used to drive incremental subscriptions for you, so that you're continually feeding the cookie jar.
Working at a business that's really taking, the data that we are seeing seriously and taking that time to understand those users and, understand what they like and dislike, and then also translating that into the content and also, the way we have conversations with our partners is really what excites me in the business. So.
From an editorial perspective, we still jealously, fervently protect the editorial integrity of what we do. But we do also work with clients to help them to produce branded content for themselves as well. And this has been, quite a fast-growing part of the business, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years.
If the labelling is clear and there's more and more native placements of branded content amongst sort of organic content that the newsroom would produce, we are finding excellent readership and excellent engagement in that content. So why wouldn't you, is my view. Gone are the days when readers perceive branded content as lower grade content. It's when we launched the Future London channel, which is all about London as a city and sustainability, and that grew from a branded content idea. So that was paid for by our branded content partners, and actually resonated so well with the audience that was getting more engagement than most other areas of the website. And now we've launched another channel, The Optimist, on the Evening Standard, which is all about long-form investigative pieces as a result of that. So that's worked phenomenally well and is not perceived as lesser content by our readers at all.
Yeah, I think publishers are embracing the fact that monetization isn't a bad thing. It's monetization in the right way. So engaging, using data teams to understand what do our consumers want. Then there's no point in reinventing the wheel. Let's use the technology experts who can automate that process for us so that the focus is on quality content, bespoke experiences, driving advertiser engagement that can then escalate.
You have to start with good journalism that people want to read. That's a given. Leaving that aside though, the best journalism won't reach an audience without investment in data and in web development. Data should underpin the decisions made in content, and not from the narrow perspective that we've stuck to in the past of just looking at click-throughs, but much more broadly looking at engagement metrics, time spent, frequency of visits, traffic referral sources, all of which can help drive revenue, both from an advertising and from a reader revenue strategy point of view.